I'm Amy,
And I'm Audria,
and this is the Ride Crowd. So grab a cup of coffee,
or a cup of tea.
maybe a little something on the rocks, and let's get started.
I like your fireflies. That's what that is, right? That's
Butterfly, not
what
butterflies, dragonflies.
dragonflies.
Oh,
That's
and this is one of the cups that has the little. I can't turn it because it's very full cup. It's got the little picture on the inside.
I love those.
And actually, today I don't have coffee. I have ginger turmeric honey chai tea.
Nice.
Yes, I haven't
Right.
had my coffee yet. This is my first. I'm breaking my fast right now.
Oh. Well, I'm having a Rubio's tea. And
I
this is
like that.
my Freak in the Sheets Excel cup, which you gave me. Thank you very
I
much.
did. You're welcome.
All right. So speaking of analysis and such, that was a hard transition. That was awkward. But we are talking about 27 essential principles of story. Look how mine has gotten this. I hate these creases, but
Yeah.
it happens. When you're using a book really hard, it gets worn. So we are on chapters 5 and chapter 6. We're starting with chapter 5, which is all about risk.
To catch anybody up, just in case you're just now joining us for the first time, by the way, like and subscribe, please, and thank you. But what we are doing with this book is we are doing 2 chapters a month so that if you would like to join along with us and do all the exercises and watch the movie or read the book or whatever it is that the reference is for the book for that chapter, you have time to do it. So if you want to see the intro and then chapters 1 through 4, they're recorded before now. And next month, we're in April. Next month, we will record the next 2 or 3. There are 2 of them where we have 3 chapters. I don't remember which ones they are. When we get there, we'll be there. But just to let you know, we're only discussing 5 and 6. And once a month, the last Friday of every month, we post the next video. So, okay, now you can go.
Great. All right. So we are on chapter 5, Escalate Risk, this week. And we've talked about risk on from other author craft books. And of course, that's what we do here. We are improving our craft by reading and learning from the masters of craft or just great author or writing craft books. In this chapter, he talks about how in your novel or story, you need to give the character some stakes. In other words, put something at risk, something that the audience will care. It will matter enough to the character whether or not they get it, and then that will make it matter to the reader, and they will keep reading. They will root for it, and they will have certain expectations based on what's at risk, and that's coming up in the next chapter. But what were your thoughts on how he explained how risk works?
So I think the main thing for me was one of the things he says is that you want to keep escalating the risks your hero takes, because if one risk is followed by a lesser risk, the story drags. So you want your hero to do this thing way up here. Don't make that the first thing he does. Lead up to it. Because if you do that as the first thing, everything else is going to just not hold up to the story. So you want to make sure it's a gradual up to that thing, not just ta-da.
Exactly. Sorry, I was just thinking of that saying that people have, like, that escalated quickly. Like, we went from 0 to I will kill you, and like that. And sometimes those are the best stories. Like, you don't expect, like, you expect one thing to be at stake, and then all of a sudden there's so much more at stake. And this decision the character is making, or this action the character is taking, is so much more important and impactful because of the risk. And I like the example that he gave with the guy in the blizzard and how it started off where the guy just wanted to make something to eat, and then there was a blizzard, and then yeah, he runs out of food, and then the guy keeps making these decisions, and the risks he is taking as he's making these decisions go from just want to have a little meal to now there's life and death and freedom is at stake. And I thought that was a really good example of showing how to escalate risk.
Yeah, it was good. He also says that when the risk is more emotional, operates on more levels, and is more personal to the audience, it feels like an escalation. So make your reader connect with the risk that your hero is taking.
Yeah. And when you use that, I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of risks. Those are universal to all humans. Like we need shelter, we need love, or we need food, we need freedom, and things like that. That's a way to make your risks resonate with your audience. Everybody understands the desire to stay out of prison or to keep
I
a,
mean,
well, it depends. There have been times when I thought, do I get to just read in prison? Can I just kick back and read? I get food and I get to
or
read.
like when you get to a certain age, you're like, yeah, if I go to jail, like someone else is taking care of me and someone else is cooking for me, you know?
Mhm. Which is why you can, and there have been movies and books where characters have made a solid choice, surprising or not, that they chose prison. Like, you know,
Yeah.
but you have to make it make sense for that story. And the examples that he uses to illustrate risk, not just the one he made up about the guy in the blizzard, but he also uses Nemo again. He illustrates what's at risk for Nemo's dad when he's trying to keep him safe. And then the how a master did it. And as you know, in this book, Daniel Joshua Rubin uses a lot of different media as examples for the 27 essential principles of story. And the one he uses in this chapter for risk is Pulp Fiction. And I have seen Pulp Fiction many times, and actually reading this example made me want to go watch it again. Because there was a lot of risk in the scene that with John Travolta and Uma Thurman. And at first, it's just you're wondering what's he going to do. Oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't do what I think he's going to do, because what was at stake for John Travolta's character and Uma's character. Tarantino did it well. You cared. I cared about what happened to John Travolta in this scene, or to see what he was going to do. Have you seen Pulp Fiction? Not one of, yeah.
Not one of mine.
I would not think it would be in your wheelhouse, but you read the example, right? So you could,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, he did that. And it was,
I've seen snippets where they'll like come up on like a reel or something where they're at a bar and she's like, well, you have to dance with me because he said you have to keep an eye on me. Like I've seen that one, and I've seen one or two other scenes that just happen to come up for whatever reason, but I've never actually watched it.
I love most of Tarantino stuff. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, that was a really good example of how Vince's choices, or how the character keeps making choices and keeps putting himself and the other character at risk. They both do. They both make solid choices and sometimes not good choices, but that's their character. And so their choices are believable and the risks they're taking are certainly very believable.
Sometimes the good choice is not the choice that you need in order to keep your audience engaged.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I'm also reading another book, or it reminds me of something from another craft book, where the choices you give your character have to be the best of two bad choices. Because if they have a good choice where I'm going to eat this chocolate bar or I'm going to kill the guy, I mean, it's going to,
Wait, can I eat the chocolate bar while I'm killing the guy?
some of us would make, yeah, would insert a third
I
choice. They
mean,
also see. But anyway, all right. So back to the book.
all right. I'm just going to go back to drinking my tea. You keep talking.
Okay, so getting back to the book, the scene that he uses to illustrate how a master does it. Quentin Tarantino, an undisputed master, and that movie is a great one. And he writes out that whole scene. So if you're not familiar with it, like Amy, you've not seen the movie, as you read it, you can see what's at stake for the character. You know what it is. And
Right.
he illustrated it very good. I was actually riveted, and I'd seen them. I couldn't remember how it worked out, but I was riveted by just the illustration in the book. All right. He says that in this scene from Pulp Fiction, from start to finish, everything they do escalates the risk. The drugs, the booze, flirtation, talk of being together in silence, the discussion of an alleged affair with Tony Rocky Horror, all of these things he adds each and every point. Some of those I didn't pick up in the movie, but I could see them as they were illustrated here. With each interaction, the writers crank Vince's risk level higher and higher. And then towards the ultimate end with Samuel L. Jackson, where he to plunge something into her heart to save her life. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because it's a funny scene. It's
As soon as you add Samuel L. Jackson, it's going to turn funny.
yeah. All right. So let's go on to how you do it. So, and that's the next part of the book. And I've highlighted a lot of that because I'm applying it to my current work in progress, making sure I, of course, understand what my hero needs. That's part of the first point here in how you do it. And then I need to focus on in my book what my hero stands to lose in each scene, which is important, and then in the overarching premise of the book or the whole story plot.
I'm not going to go over all of them, but the first couple, he says, you know what your hero needs. Now you need to focus on what your hero stands to lose if they fail to acquire the object of their desire. So that's bullet point number one. We all know now in this story what he needs. Now we have to figure out what they'll lose if they don't do the thing that they need or get to the thing that they need or acquire the thing that they need. What do they have to lose? And then you need to identify the types of risks that your hero is willing to make. So in a cozy, they may not risk the same things as they would risk in a thriller. So make sure that you are taking the risks that are appropriate for the genre that you are writing in. Middle grade and Stephen King are not the same thing. And the third one that I want to point out is it says, what kind of risks in this particular character willing to take that others might not? And conversely, what kind of risks are they unwilling to take or would really struggle to take? And he does give an example of Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant and his fear of snakes.
Yes, and he
Which
mentions
is a great scene.
that is a great scene. And he mentions how in Spielberg films, the hero often risks facing his deepest fear. And that's always compelling. I mean, and that's easy for an audience to identify with. We all have fears. Many people have fear of snakes. So that's going to make that's going to be visceral for a lot of people when you have them face different fears or have them undertake things that would be hard for them. Like they have a fear of heights and you put them on to save someone, they have to go to the top of the building and so forth. So I thought this, how you do it, I found it I highlighted a lot of it because when I work through my book, I want to make sure that I am increasing the risk and making sure the risks that my character take are compatible with her character.
And then just like every other, do you have anything else to point out on the risks?
Oh.
Okay. And just like every other chapter, there's a mini final exam where he gives you a situation that is comparable to what he's just discussed. And then he does his continuing ed, which he gives you another example, and this time is misery, of how it is used in another way. And misery was good as well.
Misery was very good. I liked his example of how that character in Misery, how he continues to escalate what he's willing to do to remove himself from that dangerous situation.
And we have a player that comes in to play tournaments, literally looks like Bates in this movie. She looks like her. Like every time I see her, I want to go, has anyone ever told you that you look like Bates when she was in Misery? I don't, because I don't know how she feels about Bates. So I don't say anything. But every time I see her, I'm like I can't not look at her because she looks just like her from the movie.
Fascinating. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. So that is chapter 5, which is all about escalating risk. So that's a good read if you are a new writer or if you're in the middle of a edit or writing a novel to make sure you are escalating risk and mistakes and etc. The next chapter 6 is clash expectation with reality.
At the beginning, he does a quick take at the beginning of all the chapters and gives you like in a sound bite what the chapter is going to actually like go into. And part of that, he says, we found out who we are when life doesn't go as planned. That is true in real life, not just in books.
True. And he has the quote that from Woody Allen, If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And that's, again, life and fiction, very relevant.
I kind of imagine God going, really? Well, I, it, okay, sure. Let's see how that goes for you.
Yeah. Or hold my beer. All right, let's do it.
Let's
Okay.
see what happens.
And I love the example media that he uses. Not well, he uses a few of them in this chapter. One of them is Roadrunner cartoons from Looney Tunes and Wile E. Coyote, and how the expectations that Wile E. has and to get the Runner and his evil schemes. He has these great intricate plans to get the Roadrunner, and they always backfire. And sometimes they backfire horribly and tragically, but it's a cartoon. Or sometimes they fizzle, but
Literally.
really,
I now as an adult, I'm like, how did he never get the Roadrunner? Like, now I have seen a video of a Roadrunner running, which makes sense. But that Roadrunner, he was very smart.
very smart.
He was
Yeah,
very smart.
yeah. And I really liked when he wrote that the Roadrunner cartoons came out in 1949, and still today people reference, if you say the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, even young kids, I think they're seeing them in reruns, and they redid them for the a reboot of the Looney Tunes. It's a classic for a reason. It keeps coming back.
Randy's favorite graphic tee, and I say favorite, he's bought four of them,
Or
the
the
exact same tee. It's got a picture of Wile E. Coyote on it, and it says Super Genius.
I love it. That's awesome.
He literally has four of them.
That is awesome. Poor Wiley. All right. So moving on to one of the other examples he uses in here is Oedipus Rex. And also he uses the Bible. He uses a lot of things to illustrate the plans people make or characters make and how or people make and how they are thwarted. And he also breaks it down on page 74. So I really like that he did that for us. So for in part one or line one, he says the character's expectation is established. It might be flawed due to the character's biases or shortcomings. And we've all seen those movies where this character makes the plan and it might be a character who's not very smart. And you know, as you're watching, he's like, this is not going to turn out the way you
It's
want.
not going to end well.
Yeah. And then the clash between plans and reality has to be believable. Any half-wit can prank an audience with a cheap surprise or bore them with something merely believable. So when you are writing, he advises that you should write story events that are believable and surprising, and that surprise is essential.
Yep.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I didn't have anything about his bullet points. I was just going to say something after that.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason I like the bullet points is because it's almost like a map for how to write that clashing expectations with reality. So if you're writing something, if you've got a scene where you've set expectations and you're thwarting those expectations, if you read through this about how the clash reveals character and meaning and so forth, that's a really good blueprint for how to write that. I mean, you don't have to match it exactly, but if you use some of these elements, it'll make your writing a little bit better, I think.
What I think I like about it is that he tells you how it breaks down, and then he tells you how it's used in the example that he just gave. So it doesn't just tell you how to do it, he tells you how it was done. So I like that.
This was a good one. And then
And then
the
at the, oh,
oh,
sorry.
I'm going to do the how a master did it. He uses Breaking Bad, a particular scene or episode, dead freight in Breaking Bad. And I've seen Breaking Bad as one of those that it's awesome. It's very good. I did not watch the entire series, but I've seen many of the episodes. I saw all of first season and most of season two, and then I watched different episodes in between. I just didn't stick with that show, but it was brilliant. But it was a little darker than I typically go. So I checked out a little bit, but it was brilliant. Every time I watched an episode, I was amazed and entertained. So
Well,
did
then the writers did their jobs.
exactly so. All right. So, did you want to go over any of the items related to how a master did it?
No. However,
Mhm.
right before that, at the end of the breakdown, I do want to point out that he said that whether the surprise, we're talking about, oh my goodness, the clash, whether the surprise is terrifying, hilarious, or stunning, is spontaneous or comes about slowly, it gives us what we came for, a heightened and insightful experience. So making sure that there is something there that people aren't expecting.
Yes. Yeah. You don't want to
I hate
bore.
it when I know exactly what's going to happen the whole time.
Yeah, that's not as much fun.
No.
I love it when expectations are subverted or there's a surprise.
I love it when I'm watching or reading or listening and all of a sudden I'm going, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, when an author can do that. So when he talks about how a master did it, let's see. No, how you do it. We're on to how you do it. He gives you step by step. So he had some bullet points earlier on where he broke it down, but in how you do it, he gives you step by step. Establish, once again, you establish the expectation and you make it clear that it's reasonable. I'm not going to read all of them. You should get the book. But I love how he put it together. He makes it so easy for you to do this in your own writing. And he
Yeah.
talks about using some misdirection. And I love me some misdirection. And then foreshadowing, etc. So he does a really great job with illustrating how you can clash expectation with reality and use that in your own writing, whether it's a script, a short story, or a novel, or play, or whatever it is.
I think at the end, the best thing that I think out of all of the things he says about this, he says, unless it is the very end of your story, a great clash is both the end of one event and the beginning of another. So don't leave everybody hanging to where, like, it's not a here it is, and then we do this. And then here's another one, and then we do this. It's a, oh my goodness, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Like it's a roller coaster that keeps going up, not one that you would find in the kiddie section of the county fair.
Right. Let's see. He also talks about you should have fun with it, and he references some other examples in here. And then he has, of course, the mini final exam. And I want to say about the mini final exam. So if you've, hopefully this is not your first episode of us going over this book, because he has that mini final exam for every chapter. So there's 27 of them because there's 27 essential principles. But I knew the right answer. Well, I didn't. Let me put it this way. One of the answers in the mini final exam, it's a multiple choice. Choose the one that is the most effective way to clash expectation with reality, following a scene that he's written. And I didn't so much pick the right one as my heart picked the right one because my heart broke over one answer. And I'm like, well, I hope that didn't happen because that's just, oh my goodness, that feels so bad. And of course, that was the right answer. It evoked
Yeah.
the most emotion, and that's what you want to do with your writing.
Anyway, yeah. And then he does his continuing ed and he uses the sixth sense as the example. Did you figure out the sixth sense?
No, at the very end of the movie, I was surprised. I mean, yeah, it didn't. There was a certain point where my brain figured it out, and then I was like, "Shush, shush," to myself. I was like, "Shush, let me just watch the movie. Let me just enjoy it as it unfolds." So, I love that movie. That's a good one.
It's a good movie. And then that's the end of chapter 6.
That is. I have to say, I'm looking forward to the next two chapters, Max Out the Middle, and the other one is Begin with the End.
Yeah, begin the end with a critical decision.
I am really looking forward to this. Has been a great book. I hope you
It
guys
has. Yeah.
are reading along with us. And I am using a lot of this in how I am editing and writing some of the my current works. So I think this is an excellent book for developing your writing craft, as we are wont to do, because that's what our channel is about.
Yes. So follow along. Let us know in the comments if you are and if you're enjoying it as much as we are. And like I said before, like and subscribe. And we will see you guys again between now and then. But for this book, we'll see you again at the end of the month. Bye.
Bye.